Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad.
Coolio.
A very different film this week. We're doing Bedazzled, or have I watched the wrong film again? It was a very strange website I found that on. Anyway, hello, and welcome to the Deja Review.
I'm Mart.
And I'm Trev.
Every episode we'll be discussing a movie that's had a remake, reboot, do-over, or reimagining.
We're talking Dracula, Death on the Nile, Godzilla, Casino Royale, Halloween.
So sit back, relax, and we'll take you on a journey of discovery about some iconic and not so iconic movies.
Two long-time friends, one podcast. This is the Deja Review.
On this episode of the Deja Review, we're making a deal with the devil.
It's Bedazzled.
So, Trev, what's the background on this one?
Okay, so Bedazzled, released in 1967, distributed by 20th Century Fox for an estimated budget of $600,000. Estimated box office, $1.5 million. Screenplay by Peter Cook, from a story by Peter Cook and Dudley Moore. Directed by Stephen Donen, who you may know from Saturn III, Singing in the Rain, Blame It on Rio, and Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. Rotten Tomatoes critic score 74%, audience score 73%, and a cast of Peter Cook, Dudley Moore, Eleanor Bron, and Raquel Welch. Mark, give us the synopsis.
A hapless loser sells his soul to the devil in exchange for 7 wishes, but has trouble winning over the girl of his dreams. Yeah.
Precise and to the point, yeah. It's not too bad for IMDb.
Close enough.
Yep.
So, okay, what did you think to this film?
I enjoyed the humour. It felt very dated.
In places, yes. There was one comment that stood out like a sore thumb, in my opinion.
Which was?
Which was when in one of his wishes was...
We're both young, white...
Yeah.
And I went, ooh, okay. Other than that...
The whole thing felt a bit dated to me.
Yeah.
So we obviously asked the question later on about, should it have been remade, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, definitely, because it just felt so dated. Lots of stuff on there was very dated.
But you can't say that it was too far removed from the remake.
No, they definitely took lots of elements and put them in the remake. We'll go into those probably as we're going along. But just, it was let's put it this way, it was a very British film.
Yes. I'm surprised it got a remake because I thought it might have been one of those that just would have been swept under the carpet and forgotten about.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It was sort of like it is quite a popular film stroke storyline because, we've seen it before, people selling their soul to the devil. And I think it's just, was it a film studio going, oh, we've got the rights to this, let's do something with it. And then obviously make it more a Hollywood thing. Who's big at the minute? Brendan Fraser was big at the time. So let's pop him in there in the lead.
Yeah.
It was okay. It goes more into the devil's story where he's a fallen angel trying to get back into heaven. He needs more souls than God.
Yeah.
He needs this many souls. Yeah.
But as I pointed out to God at the time, for every Job or soul that he lands, I get 2. I was 2 billionaired already.
You make it sound like a blooming game.
That's precisely what it is. And the first one to reach 100 billion souls is the winner. He doesn't stand a chance, actually. I've only got 6 to go.
And for him to get into there, I quite like that. And a lot of the stuff he's doing is petty little things, like getting a brand new record and putting a scratch through it. Agatha Christie book, ripping out the last page so you don't know who it's everything he does is just small little petty things. Like
it's as to antagonise more than anything.
Yeah. Get the pigeon to poo on the guy.
Poop on the bloke. Cut something in the shirt, so it's a brand new shirt, and you open it up and there's a tear in it or
a
whatever.
button missing or something like that, wasn't it? And it was just little things like that was, it was not what you expect from the devil. It's just sort of like he's bored. So it's like,
he's
let's
doing
just get up to, it's something a little child would do. It's all childish little things. So yeah, I quite liked it for that. It's that sort of humour, the childish humour.
I did like the comment early on where Dudley Moore's trying to hang himself, and the devil comes in and surprises him and gives him the suggestion, but he's broken the pipe that he was trying to hang off of, and he's trying to plug it with certain things. But it was the comment that Pete Cook said.
You realise that suicide's a criminal offence. In less enlightened times, they'd have hung you for it.
Yeah.
That made me chortle.
Yeah, it's just clever little lines like that. But it's also like...
And if you really want to help me, you can get me a sock for this pipe.
Oh, yes, they're in the top left-hand drawer, aren't they?
How's that going to work?
Exactly.
But it's like right near the beginning where you first see Dudley Moore, and he's there working in a wimpy.
Yep.
Which is, for anybody who's not English, it's like...
Or old like us.
Yeah, it's sort of like a budget Burger King.
Yeah.
But he says about the girl he's after.
For 6 years now, ever since you came to Wimpy's, I've been in love with you. I only live to hear your voice.
And then she comes out and goes,
1 cheeseburger, 1 shanty, 1 portion French fries.
And her voice is so common and whatever.
Each time you speak, it's like 1,000 violins playing in the halls of heaven.
You go, what? It's just sort of like the delusionalness of it as well.
Yeah. But again, with the devil, say those magic words.
It's not going to hurt, is it?
Not a bit. Hold tight. The magic words. Julie Andrews.
Yeah, it's just, it was just sort of like simple little throwaway jokes. They were just sort of said in conversation. It's like with that bird poo one, it's like...
What a pathetic thing to do. But if you're the devil, why didn't you go for that vicar down there?
Oh, no, he's one of ours.
And it's basically like that vicar's already been corrupted. And when you think of things that have happened recently, you think, oh, okay.
Yeah.
There was a line in there when he's doing the things like scratching the records and cutting out, the buttons off of a shirt, where he says to him...
Missiles and munitions, mainly.
How's the market holding up?
Well, we've been very badly hit by this peace scare.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just sort of clever little lines.
It's when he's doing the parking inspector.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, again, is another one that's been placed into the remake as well. I think
exactly
most of the wishes are also repeated into the remake, which I think was good. But the one that didn't was the pop star sequence.
Yes.
That did, but that got deleted in the remake.
Well, didn't they make that the basketball scene then, isn't it? I think the pop star scene was replaced with the basketball scene because there's nothing so similar to... they've changed certain things around in there because you've got the one where he's gay, the sensitive one.
Yeah,
they more or less kept that as the same sort of thing, didn't they? The drug lord one was him just being sort of like Lord of the Manor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They sort of kept that one. The story similar, but the background behind it different. There was a few. They were all sort of quite similar. In different ways, and it was sort of like, again, the stuff she was doing was just petty as well. The only thing they didn't carry over was all the 7 deadly sins being people.
Yeah, I did like that they were actual people minions for the devil in that original one. So that's where you've got Raquel Welch in as Lust to try and actually pull him to one side, if you're with me.
But how beautiful did she look?
Yeah.
Absolutely stunning in that.
Who was that?
Didn't she introduce herself? That's Lillian Lust, the babe with the bust.
Yeah. And you've got... Who else you got? You got Anger there. You got Sloth.
Yeah.
You're not having second thoughts, are you?
No, but shouldn't I sign it in blood?
Blimey, you are a traditionalist.
But it's the sequences that are in there that I enjoyed that film. I thought it was very, very funny in places. And this being the first time that I'd seen it, you know, you did have, oh, hang on a minute, that's in the remake. Oh, that's in the remake. Oh, they've done this different bit in the remake. You know, I can see why they've made that little change. So it was really good you having those moments from that first film brought back in on that remake side of things.
Yeah, they just modernised them all, made them more relevant to a 2000s audience compared to a 1960s audience.
Yeah, but blowing a raspberry to undo everything.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, that can go so wrong in any way, shape or form.
Yeah.
You know, even if you did want to stay inside that wish that as soon as you blow a raspberry, that's it, you're in trouble. And then the whole fly sequence.
Blow your raspberry!
Yeah, the question that went into my head was if he farted, did he also all of a sudden pop out of that wish?
But yeah, I thought it was an enjoyable movie for an original.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I just found the ending a bit underwhelming.
Yeah.
Because nothing really gets concluded.
No.
It's just sort of like the Dudley Moore character doesn't seem to do anything, go anywhere. He's not got the girl. He's just sort of like, no, I'll just get on with my life. He's happy because he's got enough souls.
Yes.
But then he goes there and he's been ripped off then by God saying, yeah, you're not coming in anyway or whatever. And then the credits come up and it's sort of like, well, that was a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah. Can I tempt you again? Can I tempt you again? No.
Yeah. And it was just all a bit, okay. It was... I think that's where this one fell down. And the pacing wasn't bad, actually, for the film. It sort of like got on with it. But then, like I say, it was like they didn't know how to end it. And it just seemed to fizzle out.
A lot of films in the 60s, that's the same scenario, that they don't know how to end them. I've noticed that from some of the ones I've been watching recently, that you sit there and you go, that was a bit abrupt.
Yeah.
You know, a jarring ending. Or you sit there and think, and what's the next line? Oh no, it's gone. It's finished.
Yeah, it was
but
just
that's the style of things back then.
Yeah, yeah. Like I say, I think it was really well written. I felt very underwhelmed with the ending of it.
Yeah, I'm also not knowing too much about their prior TV work. I'm wondering if this was based off of a sketch that they did in one of their shows.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think this was just an original film idea they had, because some of their sketches are very strange and surreal, but yeah, this was sort of like something totally different.
Anything else on this first one?
I don't think so, mate. I think most of it's comparison. Have you got anything?
Not on the first one, no. No, just that, as I said earlier, there's a lot of stuff there that was incorporated or slightly tweaked into the new version, but I think, you know, probably got more to talk about on the remake, because I've definitely seen it a lot more times than I've seen the original.
Yeah.
It's a go-to film, if you're with me.
I do love the way most of the posters and most of the advertising has got Raquel Welch in there.
Yeah.
And she's in there for 3 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
They've used her as a big promotional thing, but she's hardly in it at all.
No. Yeah, very strange. So, come on in. Let's move on to the remake then.
Before we continue on to the remake, me and Mark would like to wish long-time listeners and friends of mine, Tom and Lauren, every congratulations on their wedding. Hope you have a great day, guys.
Congratulations. Right, remake. Bedazzled, released in the UK in November 2000, distributed by 20th Century Fox. Estimated budget was 48 million, estimated box office 90 million. Screenplay was by Lauren Gelbart, Harold Ramis and Peter Tullen. By the story originally by Cook and Moore. Directed by Harold Ramis, who also did Caddyshack, Groundhog Day, National Lampoon's Vacation, starred in Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, and Stripes, and a lot of other comedies that you would know from the 80s and early 90s. Rotten Tomatoes critic score, 50%, audience score, 43%. And the cast, Brendan Fraser, Elizabeth Hurley, Frances O'Connor, Miriam Shaw, Orlando Jones, Paul Aldenstein, and Toby Huss. Trev, what's the synopsis on this one?
Hopeless dweeb Elliot Richards is granted 7 wishes by the devil to snare Alison, the girl of his dreams, in exchange for his soul.
Dweeb.
Dweeb. That's such a 90s term, isn't it?
Very 90s.
You're a dweeb.
So, what do you think to this version?
I liked it. I thought Brendan Fraser was fantastic. The thing with the original was Dudley Moore was the same person pretty much in all of it, apart from when he was Lord of the Manor. That was the only time he really put on his posh accent, but the rest of the time he was pretty much himself. In this, Brendan Fraser is playing a different character in every wish scenario. And he just does it so well. And Elizabeth Hurley, not the greatest actress in the world, but just playing that temptress, just putting on her own voice, it worked. Apart from when she put on her awful American accent when she was the policewoman.
One more word out of you and I'll pop you on, you goddamn wacko bastard.
That was a bit ridiculous.
That was awful.
I think it was supposed to be, though.
It could well be, but no, I thought it was just really well done. It was a nice homage to that original, but by putting a modern day twist on it. Like I say, the original was dated, and changing it and, give it another 10, 15 years, this might feel a bit dated. Sort of some of the things there are definitely late 90s, early 2000 feel to them, where, some of it now even looks a little bit dated.
Yeah. Well, Pete Cook and Dudley Moore actually make a guest appearance in it, don't they?
Well, their names do, as her Doberman dogs on the beach. Yeah.
Dudley, Peter! I'm sorry, they're such little devils.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice nod. But Harold Ramis wanted the cast to improvise, so he just let them do it. So he encouraged the improvisation from all of them. And they said as soon as Brendan Fraser got that prosthetic nose, he amped it up because it wasn't him anymore, because he was playing that character that didn't look like him. So they said that he just went for it, and it was hilarious. And there was lots of, it wasn't only the nose, it was also the hairpiece that they used for the basketball player, but the sweating sequence. Do you know how they succeeded doing that?
No.
So the bald cap that's underneath the hairpiece had slits in it, and they had a water pump behind the back of him that they were just forcing water into the bald cap that was just dripping all the way down. And at one point, he's talking, he's doing all his usual thing, and his contact lens falls out.
Oh, right.
So literally the water actually ran over his eye and just popped his contact lens out.
Thus raising the question of where do you go from here after a debut performance of such magnitude? Oh, man, I don't know. You stick with the... Oh, man, my contact just fell out of my eye.
But it was just all of those characters. The one where he's the sensitive guy on the beach. So if he's just
done
like
freckle makeup.
Freckles, exactly. It was just all of that. Every single character was so different from each one. They quite easily could have had a different actor playing each one because they all look different, they sound different, and he just did it so well. And like you say, improvisation must have been fantastic. And I definitely think Orlando and a few of the others there, they improvised some of their background bits. Definitely.
Oh, they improvised a lot of the commentary for the basketball.
Oh, yeah. But not just that. Any time when they're the Colombian drug lords' friends, you could see where they've actually cracked up on certain bits.
Yeah.
And so obviously something's either been said and it either been cut or they've just sort of like left them laughing and joking and like, now look really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well,
the CGI side of things, there wasn't really much that was used apart from in the basketball sequence to make him look taller. And a lot of that was just blue screen rather than anything else. So they filmed with extras as much as they could where they were trying to actually do him on blue screen and make sure he wasn't walking through anyone or, passing through, or anyone passing through him, should we say, without realising. So that whole bit where he comes out on the basketball court and actually looks underneath and steps underneath and then does the autograph bit, that was all done on blue screen.
Mm.
So yeah,
but then
it was
also
really,
like
really
the bit
clever.
where he's been interviewed or she's chatting to him in the dressing
Locker
room
room.
after.
Yeah, he was on a box and she was kneeling down in front of him.
Yeah, it was still clever, but that bit where he takes his towel off and he's just like looking at everyone, sort of cursing the devil.
Yeah.
Oh! Hey! What the hell?
Oh, God, there's just...
Hey!
There's just...
Damn! Oh, heck!
Because it was the one time where everything was going right until that
Yeah.
final moment.
Well, you know the teaching sequence? Because they decided that they needed to change the rock star element that was in there as the deleted scene. So they tried to match up with the original having music one. They did a kind of like a Marilyn Manson, Ozzy Osbourne mix, doing drugs and going OTT and swearing and dying, coming back, going back on stage and doing crowd surfing and things like that. They went really over the top with it.
What the f*** are you doing?
God!
Don't die, baby! Please, no! Don't die! Don't die!
They just went, no, we can't do this. And it was cut and they had to replace it. So for the sequence where she's the devil trying to ask him what he wants as the next wish, he was already filming his next project. So they had to reshoot that. Ramis and a lot of the crew up sticks came over to the UK, refilmed that sequence because Brendan Fraser was over in the UK filming The Mummy 2. So he had 2 days off from that job and he was able to film this extra sequence in those 2 days.
That's probably why you don't see him until right after all the kids have actually left.
Yeah.
It's as though he's almost been superimposed in that bit because you never see him sitting there with all the other kids. It's as the last one drifts past and then all of a sudden you see him sitting there at the back.
Yeah, but that's one of the things that they had to reshoot. So you've got multiple versions of Elliot. You've got the rich and powerful, which he turns out to be the drug lord.
It's cocaína! Cocaína! Oh, mierda! Soy un narcotraficante colombiano.
Yep.
You've got the ultra-sensitive new age guy.
Yep, which is the one on the beach.
I'm back, my love.
Where'd you run off to, huh?
I went to make a garland of beach plums to place atop your glorious head like a crown. But then I caught sight of that sunset, and I don't know. Something stirred inside me, and I had to stop and weep.
You got the 7-foot basketball player.
Yep.
I wish I could play professional basketball.
Then I'll just say the magic words, Dennis Rodman. Just kidding!
You got brilliant, culturally intelligent.
Who's find out he's gay.
What the hell is going on, Mary?
Who are you?
Don't play games with me, Mr. Richards. I'm in no mood. I've been out of my mind all night.
Oh, my God.
Hi. Who's your little friend?
Maybe I should be running along.
Wait. No, this is a mistake. I'm not gay.
Oh, really? And I'm Tony Danza.
Yep. You got powerful, respected leader.
Abe Lincoln.
We're going to a play?
I think you'll find it quite amusing. It's called Our American Cousin.
You know, I think I've already seen it. As a matter of fact, I'm sure I have.
The burger and large Coke.
Yeah.
Okay, a few days ago, I sold my soul to the devil for 7 wishes. Now, I've already had 5 of them, but the devil says that I've had 6. But I'm not counting the Big Mac and the Coke, and she is, and I don't think that's fair. Do you?
And the final wish is obviously for Alison to have a happy life.
Yep.
I wish that Allison has a happy life!
Oh, God.
Which breaks the deal because it was a selfless act.
Yeah.
Because no one bothers reading the contract.
No, exactly. But I did like the way he's done Bedazzled with a Groundhog Day style overlay.
Mm.
I did like that element.
But at least it was a more satisfying end.
Yes.
That, you know, he was quite happy to let Alison go, but then, you know, was it something to do with God or was it something to do with the devil? Because basically the devil even admits that she likes him. So having a girl basically Alison's doppelganger.
Yeah.
Moving in with him, and basically the next thing you see is they're in a relationship then, and the devil's there playing chess and cheating God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a more satisfying conclusion at the end of it than the original was.
No, agreed.
He's grown in himself, hasn't he?
But no, all in all, I thought it was a really good remake. And yeah, so we'll move on to that now. Lead actor in it, Dudley Moore or Brendan Fraser?
I think just for his depth in all the different characters he had to play, I think you've got to say Brendan Fraser.
Agreed, completely. Best Devil, Peter Cook or Elizabeth Hurley?
Yeah, it's tough. I think Peter Cook, just because it's the way he doesn't really care. It's more like a devil would. I'm trying to get a soul. It's sort of like, well, come on, no, this is, what do you need? Whatever tells you, and you know he's going to twist it around. Where
he was a used car salesman.
Yeah, exactly. Where she's more a seductress to get everything that she wants, which she plays well. Don't get me wrong. It's two very different devils.
Yes.
She's more or less playing the lust character from the original one as the devil. And she does it well. She hasn't had to act out of her skin. She's not the greatest actress. But yeah, I think for his nonchalance, I think I'll go for Peter Cook.
Yeah. I'm going to go Elizabeth Hurley.
Okay.
Because out of all the roles that she's had, if anyone says Elizabeth Hurley, I'll remember her in this. Yeah. This is the one that I will remember her for rather than any of the other roles that she's done. There's something else I was going to say earlier was Versace was involved in the costuming for this.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for that reason, I think the change in being a female devil was actually a good one. So I'm going to go with Elizabeth Hurley. So,
okay.
Which film was better?
Personally, I would go for the remake.
Agreed.
It's a better storyline. Well, the storyline's the same, but
fleshed out more.
Yeah, fleshed out characters, and it finishes better. I still would have maybe liked to have seen the 7 Deadly Sins working for Elizabeth Hurley, maybe in the club, but for what it was, it was okay. It was. I prefer the remake. I think I'd watch the remake more than the original.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. The usual question: did it and should it have been a remake?
Yes, I think so. The storyline was there, as said very early on. The storyline was there. It's a good enough story to be remade. And like I said, the original does feel dated now. In 20 years, will we get another remake of it?
Yeah.
Maybe. When this one starts feeling a bit too late 90s, early 2000s, will we get another version of this? We may well do.
Yeah, possibility. I do think it's a better all-round film, the remake. It was definitely enjoyed, and I agree. I think in a few years' time it may seem old and dated, so they may have to look at doing another update to it. I don't think you've seen the last of this film because it's a good idea, and I think 20th Century are going to sit there and go, "Oh, hang on a minute, we've still got this idea floating around. We'll throw in another version of it."
Exactly, makes you wonder how long they've got the rights to the story for.
Yeah,
because they made the original as well, and that was what
60s.
So how long have they actually got the rights to the story for? So it's like if they've got 30 years, will we see another? Will we see another one in a few years' time?
Yeah, quite possibly. That'd be interesting to see if they do make a change on there. So, right, we have a 5-1 coming up.
Yes.
So, and who's it going to be this week?
We have got Brendan Fraser.
Cool. This, I think, is going to be an interesting one.
Okay.
I think there might be a few differences in here between us.
Okay.
Don't know why. I just do.
Okay.
So, do you want to start with your honorary mentions?
Okay, I've got 3. I've got Journey to the Center of the Earth. It's a good family fun film, and Inkheart. I quite enjoyed that. Again, another good family film. My other one is Scrubs. He was only in 3 episodes, but it was a good little story arc of him in that. I didn't watch loads of Scrubs, but I remember all these 3 episodes. It was quite pivotal to the story, and it's quite a sad. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's quite a sad little bit in there.
Doesn't he die?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's a great little bit. Bearing in mind it's a comedy, and you've got this tragic backstory line in there of this bit. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. What about you? Have you got any honourable mentions?
Yes, I do. Right. So I have Inkheart.
Yep.
George of the Jungle, Airheads, where he plays
Okay.
Chaz. So that's him, Steve Buscemi, and Adam Sandler. Yeah, very, very funny film. And I have, as a caveat, because he's done it, Revenge of the Mummy, the ride.
Okay.
So the actual ride in Universal theme park. He introduces the ride. There's a little bit tete-a-tete around a coffee that's going on. And at the end of the ride, he greets you at the end by saying thanks for everything, and he still wants this coffee.
Hey, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed yourself. I would have enjoyed this interview a lot more if I had gotten my cup of coffee! Thank you.
So for him to do that, I think, it's early on for those type of famous actors to do a ride and then be through with it to the end. I know the Fast and Furious guys have done it since. I know a lot of other actors have done it since. But for that early days, having someone like Brendan Fraser actually incorporated into the ride, as pushing it forwards and saying, this has got my blessing. I know it's got nothing to do with him, but he actually contracted himself into doing some part to push it along. Will Smith did it for MIB, the ride as well. I think that was good. So, a nod to him for doing that ride. So, right, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is this film, Bedazzled.
Okay.
Just because of his depth of characters that he does in here. I just really enjoyed it. So, yeah, that's in there.
Okay.
What about you? What's your number 5?
My number 5 is Bedazzled.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. It's kind of a go-to film for Sheena and me. We'll watch it when we can. So I don't think we get bored of it. So, yeah, that's my number 5. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is California Man, or I think they called it Encino Man in America. But, he plays, I think it's Link, isn't it? He plays
because he's
caveman that gets defrosted when they're digging the swimming pool. How no one ever noticed a frozen. You have to get rid of reality a little bit, because how is he still frozen in California? And he was only discovered when they're digging the swimming pool. But no, it's a funny film. I quite enjoyed it. Haven't seen it for a while, but I had to put it in there.
Yeah, fair enough.
So what's your number 4, mate?
My number 4 is Journey to the Center of the Earth, where he plays Trevor Anderson. As you said earlier, it's an enjoyable film. I like those type of adventure movies. That's a go-to for me. The amount of times I've watched the originals, Journey to the Center of the Earth, and that type of movie is just fantastic. I will switch off and relax and enjoy those. Anything that has Doug McClure in it from the old 70s and 60s stuff.
Troy McClure?
No, not Troy McClure.
Hi, I'm actor Troy McClure. You might remember me from such driver's ed films as Alice's Adventures Through the Windshield Glass and The Decapitation of Larry Leadfoot.
No, anything with him in it, I think that type of movie is nice to sit back and watch and just chill out. It's a Sunday afternoon film.
Yeah.
And I think this was their reinterpretation of a Sunday afternoon film with that journey. So, yeah, shame he didn't come back in the sequel, but that was taken over by The Rock, as we mentioned in another episode.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, your number 3.
My number 3 is a TV series. It's Doom Patrol, based on a DC comic. Not as well known as lots of other DC characters. They're misfit band of people, and the series has got Timothy Dalton. And it's very different from anything you've seen in the DC universe before. It's almost got an Umbrella Academy sort of feel to it, hasn't it?
Jared Way, who did the Umbrella Academy, literally took over on writing the Doom Patrol comic book. But yes, it's very much a case of they are DC's version of the Umbrella Academy in one way, shape or another.
It's a mixture of that and sort of like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I've got that sort of feel about it as well.
Yeah.
What about you? Your number 3?
My number 3 is actually a TV series that he did with Tom Welling. It's called The Professionals. No, not the CI5 Professionals. He plays a guy called Peter Swan, which is very much a Elon Musk type character, where he's got his own space operation and he's very known tech entrepreneur and everything else like that. And there's a hit out on him, and Tom Welling has to go in and protect him as a professional protection unit, and he brings in some other people with him. It's a good series. It was only a one and done series, and it was all filmed in South Africa.
I don't think I've ever heard it or seen it.
It really is worth watching, and it's just nice to see him in a series, if that makes sense, because you get to know him as an actor more by doing that. And I think it was around about the same time that he got the Oscar for The Whale. Yeah. So it wasn't too far around there. So,
so it's a recent
it's
one.
It's a recent one. So yeah, that was quite good. Right. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Airheads. It's just fun. He's really sort of like one of the side characters because it's really an Adam Sandler led vehicle.
I've got it on DVD.
Yeah, I haven't seen it for a few years, but I just remember really enjoying it. It's got a great soundtrack as well. Just 3 metalheads trying to get their band
Airplay
famous Airplay promote themselves, so end up holding a radio station hostage or unwittingly holding it hostage. And then it's
definitely a comedy of errors.
Yeah, very much so. So what about you? What's your number 2?
My number 2 is 2 films. It's the first 2 Mummy movies. I think, as you know, he's brilliant as Rick O'Connell in those films. Absolutely fantastic. I think the rumour mill spreading around that they might be doing a 4th film with him as Rick O'Connell, bringing the original cast back. I hope so. That should be good. You know, time frame. Don't know what time frame it's going to be. Is it going to end up being more along the lines of your last Indiana Jones, where you fast forwarded another 30 years?
Yeah,
how they're going to do tombs and things like that. Yeah, but they tried to do that in the last film, so that was a few years down after, and now they're going to have to do a few years again. So it's just going to be interesting to see what they do with it. But yeah, I really enjoyed the Mummy movies. Those first 2 were fantastic. Except for the CGI for The Rock.
I was going to say instead of the CGI, because it's been your one bad.
For CGI, yes, it was. Yeah,
it was your one bad for The Rock.
Yeah.
So,
that was for him in that more than anything. Anyway, what's your number 1?
My number 1 is The Mummy. It's definitely the better of the 3, the first one. It just took that horror movie staple and made it into an action adventure film. And it was just done great. Okay, some dodgy CGI in there. Not as bad as the dodgy CGI in the second one, but still some dodgy CGI. But no, it's a great fun adventure romp. And I really, really enjoyed it. So what about you? What heads your list, mate?
You've already mentioned it in your list.
Doom Patrol.
I think him as Cliff Steele and the Robot Man was just, I know practically the whole thing he did was it. He phoned it in. It was just his voice. I don't care. I think hearing him light up that room as Robot Man swearing around, it just made each episode fun. Yeah, to know that it's Brendan Fraser and to know that's the person that you're supposed to think that's inside that robot. It's brilliant. I think some of his exposition and some of his comments in that character were so funny. It's ridiculous.
What the fuck is going on?
Some of his best ever lines that he's ever come out with are in that series. So yeah, I really did like Doom Patrol. I like what they've done from the comic book characters into the actual series itself. So yeah, that's why it's my number one.
Nice.
Okay, the bad side of things. What is your one worst film for Mr. Brendan Fraser?
Well, I'm still trying to. I've got two, and I do not know which one to put as my one bad one. Because they're both equally as bad. I'm going to pick one as dishonourable, and then I'm going to go for my bad. So my dishonourable mention is George of the Jungle.
Watch out for that tree.
Yeah, exactly. That theme tune just annoys the hell out of me. But my one bad is Dudley Do Right.
Okay.
It was sort of like, Brendan Fraser's, the big cheese at the minute. What can we put him in? Oh, well, let's put him in this. Let's put him in this. Let's put him in this. And I get it. He took the paychecks when they came, but it was just so shit. Absolutely shit. And both of them, George of the Jungle and Dudley Do Right, are both awful. Both came out around about the same time. And it was sort of like he was a star at that time. And it was, let's throw him in everything we can. And it was just dog shit. Absolute dog shit. What about you? What's your one bad?
It's the third one. Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. It was terrible because they didn't
not great.
Get the main cast back. And that's why they're retconning it with this next one, I think.
Because they replaced Rachel Weisz for Maria Bello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the story without Rachel Weisz, I think that kind of the things that they did to extend it or move it along didn't work because it wasn't Evie, if that makes sense. The original Evie. It was a new Maria Bello Evie, and you're supposed to sit there and think, this is the same person? No, that doesn't work. If they'd have dumped the Evie character and put Maria Bello in as a different character,
like
that would have
Indiana
worked
Jones.
a lot better. Yes.
Yeah.
That would have worked a hell of a lot better. But having her, you're supposed to forget about the original Evie, that didn't work.
No.
So to me, that as soon as that happened, that was completely just written off that film. Now, I'm not going to argue, say Jet Li was damn good in that film as well. There was a lot of good ideas in that film that just after you changed that Evie weren't executed very well. Whether or not it was, I can't remember if she decided that she wasn't going to do it quite late into pre-production, or if she'd turned around early on and said she's not going to do it. I can't remember.
Yeah, whether she was only tied into two.
Yeah, but it seems like they've gone ahead with pre-production for a third film with her in mind, and all of a sudden she's pulled out, and it's just ended up how it is because they haven't got time to rewrite that part.
Yeah.
Because they've got the kids in there.
Yeah, I wasn't overly a fan. It could have been... It didn't need to be the same characters. Brendan Fraser could have played any kind of, treasure hunter, Tomb Raider, adventurer type thing. It didn't have to be, was it Rick O'Connell?
Yeah. Well, I could have boosted it on a few years and have him as Rick O'Connell Jr.
Anything. But it was definitely the weaker of the three films.
Yeah. And there was a bit of a gap between 2 and 3 anyway.
But it's definitely not as bad as Dudley Do Right.
Okay.
Or
I haven't seen it, so yeah.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, you're not missing a lot.
Apparently not. And that's the thing about talking about rides in Orlando. They've got the Dudley Do Right ride. And I've done that, which is the Ripsaw rides, and I have no idea what's going on until you get to the top, and then it's kind of like you go down the log flume. That's the only bit that I understood what was going on.
Yeah, because Dudley Do Right is a Mountie.
Yes.
So,
and I remember it kind of like being on when we were kids.
I'm sure there was an old TV series.
It was a cartoon, an old cartoon that was on when we were young.
I'm sure they did a live action as well.
Yeah, they did with Brendan Fraser.
A black and white TV series. So I may be mixing that up with something else, but to
me, it's just the same as Rocky and Bullwinkle. The Rocky and Bullwinkle didn't translate over to the UK as much as it did in the States.
No. And even that was awful
Or
then as well.
Roger Ramjet as another one. You know, it's those kind of cartoons that were more American-based that didn't really translate to the UK population. Some got it, some didn't.
Mm.
But,
Yep.
yeah, so that's why I haven't watched that film.
Fair
But
enough.
no, thank you very much again, my friend. I think that's it for
Yes.
another episode.
I think so. I think we've wrapped that up nicely.
Yeah, perfect. All right, mate. Thanks for listening. Please remember to follow, like, and subscribe. Where can they get hold of us, Trev?
Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Just go to @TheDejaReview or contact us via our email, which is thedejareview@gmail.com.
I'm Mark.
And I'm Trev.
Enjoy yourselves.